A little under the weather this morning, so you have to deal with my voice. Past performance is not indicative of future results. You can lose your ass trading futures, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I think everyone knows that. So let's get started. So what I am focused on, first of all, so everyone knows, I'm only in demo today. I am not trading real capital. I don't have the bandwidth to do it. I don't have the emotional bandwidth to handle losses. So that's that. Um, I just don't. So everything I do will be in demo today. Okay. So, secondly, what I've been trying to figure out is, you know, so first of all, the volatility has been difficult, has been a challenge. And I don't think I've adapted. I'm pretty hard on myself. I don't think I've adapted very well. Secondly, the constant up and down has been difficult. But out of all challenges come opportunities, right? So I was talking with Bill. We were just kind of rolling through, going, well, how do we solve the problem? How do we solve the problem in the past? How do we solve the problem now? And so one of the ways you do it is you take away stuff off the screen until you see stuff that's jumping out at you or not jumping out at you. Okay, and what jumped out at me specifically, I'm going to use ES as an example, and I'll use the 10 tick. Okay, so I'm going to use this morning as an example. You get a star, and the star is pointed in the direction that you want it to go. I'm making it absolutely as simple as I possibly can, right? The star is in the direction you want to go. That star then gets stopped out. Okay, so you draw a line across the top of that. And stopped out, there can be two definitions. Um, I want it, so this to me is stopped out. The point of control got above the point of control of this bar, right? And then what I want to see is a close back in. I just don't want it to be a no supply, no, your odds increase if it's not a no supply, no demand bar. But in most cases, when I tested, I turned off the no supply, no demand bars as well. And then we go through, and you'll see that we close up. And then you can see that the point of control closes back in. And so this is a 10 range overnight. It's probably too big, right? But then you can see that we roll lower. So at this point, I have 5 variations on this setup from least complex to most complex. This is the least complex. So I'm going to show you again. So see, as we're coming down here, I'm looking over here. So I'm going dump to dump to dump to dump. I'm looking for a long, right? I get my white star to the upside. I get the white star stopped out. Then I get the point of control closed back in. And I go, in principle, we're long. And the thing goes dump to dump to dump to dump all the way up. That's a beautiful trade, right? So over here, I was going to go through it so y'all can see it. It's on 10 range, so it's slower, right? So let's say I'm looking off the top from last night in Asia. Here's Asia. So remember what I need is I need to get yeah, but Ed, I'm telling you, I've done this before. The more complex I make it on the first explanation, the less people get it. So I'm with you. I have no doubt, and you see it quickly because you've been practicing a lot. But the more complex I make it for the first explanation, the more confusion I have down the road. So what I'm looking for a short is I want to get one of these. If I want to be short, I'm looking for one of these stars to get stopped out, which you'll notice doesn't happen, right? They just keep keying off of those stars. So what I have to do is go back and look backwards. So as we were going up, right? So where did that occur in this whole mix, right? So if you'll look, it occurred here. This was this star right over here on 10 tick was the last place that occurred. If I put a line across that, so that's the point of control above, right? So I'm looking at the point of control and above is what I'm looking for on this. I want a point of control above. This is the point of control back below, right? And in principle, remember the idea here is in principle, the short is now triggered. Was that true? Yes. Now, the stop is a different question. Most of the time it's a one bar stop, but you can see we were quite volatile even on a 10 tick. And so it initially moves to profit, small, gets back above, closes back underneath the second time right there. That's valid. Again, you can see these are 10 tick bars, so those are 5-6 point extensions down each time, right? But you can see this is the final star that got stopped out, and it began overall the process of rolling back to the downside, right? I think the stop should be a one bar stop. So let me talk about the stops for a second. Joyce asked about this. I've already addressed it. So in paper, I took this trade this morning. Okay. Let me see if I can find it. I took it off a 6 tick. I'll be focusing on ES and not on NQ today because I need the energy to do it. I just don't have the energy to do it on NQ. Okay. So here's my star. I took it in sim. I just want to be clear with everyone. I'm trading in sim. Here's the star. There's the point of control. Right. Here's the stop out. Here's the close back in. Okay. This is that trade. Just took it with 2 contracts. So it's in demo. There's nothing special about it. I didn't do anything incredible. Right. Took 2 contracts. Here, I'll flatten it right here. $500. It's the only trade in sim I've taken this morning. Right. But that's an exact, Joyce, that should look exactly like what we covered yesterday. Right. I put my stop. I took this and I think I put a 46.50 stop on it. Don't ask me why, I was just tired. So that's what I did. Put a 46.50 stop on that trade. And that's all I followed. Very simple. And if you look overnight, right, even if you look over here, so see how this is the last down star? Right over here. So what I want a negative bar with point of control underneath. So if you look at that setup, so I don't have it down to a science on the stop yet, right? So technically this triggered and you use a one bar stop and that stop, that'd be a -5, but that's still valid. It's still valid because it's the only star I have left, right? So I got underneath, it pushed, right? So I'd have been stopped the first time, comes back down, right? Closes underneath the second time. That time that trade gave you a 53, 46.50 stop. The reason why I think it's a one bar stop is because this stop then would have been 53 to 56.75. So a 10 point to 20 point RR with a 3-point stop against that. I don't have it perfected. You still want location off the 15-minute charts, so on and so forth. But the idea works very, very well. It works very well on NQ. You have to be fast as lightning, right? So if we look at the low last night, how would have we done that? As we're coming into the low, am I being clear yet, everybody? Joyce, Ed, am I explaining clearly? Because I'm not feeling good, so I need I need some backup. Okay, cool. So see how as we're coming in last night, so we're at 45.25, right? If we look at the ES 5-minute chart, right? So I talked about location. So 45.33 was a prior day's low. We know that that acts as a trap. They can't make it down to the anomaly. If we look on the 15-minute, because we have ways of measuring off where our entries and exits are. So if you look over here, as I'm coming down, I would have had this anomaly right over here. This is an area I wanted to get, excuse me, anomaly power bar, sorry. That's 4536. And then if I go back and look to the left from where we were here last time, right, so I have this, 5539 approximately, and I have this, 4533, and then I have this all the way down here that's been tested. All this got tested, it looks like. So it was really between 4535, and then the next set of stops is 4591, right? So I'm looking at that, I'm going, oh, I'm behind everything. I'm underneath the prior day's low, right? I know that I have the opportunity to make some money here. And then I come in, and I mark off the white stars as they're coming in. Here, and here, and here. Now this one never gets a close. This one never gets stopped out, right? It just doesn't. The pony control holds the whole way through there. This one does, right? This is where I get the pony control back above. So here's the challenge with the 1 bar stop. You have to take this bar again if it forms, right? So it pushed a profit, right? If you look at about a 3-point RR, your entry was 34 and a quarter and it went to 30. Your stop was 32, your entry was 34 and a quarter and it went to 37. So you got your 1-to-1 RR off of the trade, right? You also have to look and go, well, is that my area? Like, am I looking for the trade here? Okay, so that's trade number 1. Again, you can see over here, so this, if we get stopped out, that gets a point of control behind, wait, right there. So there's a variation on this trade, and I'll explain it in just a second. Okay, so that's the simplest form. Get the bar stopped out, close back into it, and go in that direction, right? So any questions about that? It works on all time frames. The higher the time frame, the more reliable it is. Okay, and it simplifies. You don't have to look for a million combinations. It simplifies it. I'm leaving the floor open for questions. Ed, was I clear? Okay, next. One of the most powerful trades on this. Okay, so I'm going from the simplest explanation, the simplest entry, to the most complex entry on this. Okay. So once you get a star, so see this star right here? So this almost touched. Let's just play in pretend land that it touched. Okay. If I get a star, and then I get that star backside tested in the direction that I'm trading, right? So I'm looking for a long. I get that star backside tested, and it prints either a diamond or a star off the backside test of this bar. That is a high odds long. I'm going to show that now. Okay. I have to hunt it because I don't have setup. I don't have it displayed. I believe we get it right over here. See where I can find it. Okay. See this star right here? I'm pointing to this star right here. In the direction of. I get it backside tested, and it generates another star. That is a short. They're high odds shorts, not only that, they rip huge. Okay, so this didn't quite backside test. plus. We're just going to play pretend land that it did touch. I want it to touch. Let me be clear. I want it to touch. Hey, Victor, good morning. Hey, Clint, good morning. Comes over. I want it to touch, produce another algo, and it's a high odds trade. Show you on Friday. Okay, so see these two stars? One here, one here. Here. Oh, they're both in the same place. So it can come within a few ticks, right? Because obviously it's missing occasionally. So let's see what it is. It looks like it came within a point because that keeps missing by a point on that 6 tick. It missed by a tick. Okay, so let's just say the rule is within a point. Hey, Elias, good morning. How are you? So you get the bar. I'm recording this so you can watch it. You can watch it later. So you get the star, right? Comes back to backside test it. Gives the algo, so the little yellow diamond underneath. This trade gives humongous rips. I don't have another way of putting it. Like everywhere I find it, the P&L is just giant off of the trade. If you look over here to the left, right, it's the same story. So see how you have the star over here? It comes back and touches it, puts the diamond up, touches it again, puts the diamond up. Those are, I mean, this first time it touched it, it would have only been a 4-point rip, right? 1 bar stop. So hypothetically, you could have not scaled and gotten stopped. I would have done that because I'm looking for it to rip to the upside, right? But the second time it touches it, that's it. Your entry would have been right there, right? You see the algo printing, you limit 32.50, and that rips you to 42.50, 10 points. Like that's $500 every time that's doing that. It's a very, very good trade. So what you see how I'm trying to take everything down and make it as simple as possible, because all the algo combos are great when we're moving at a pace where we can read everything, but things have gotten so blindingly fast moving up and down that they're very difficult to keep up with, right? So it's been a big challenge for me. I know if it's challenging for me, I know relative to other people, because I've been told, I'm not anyone, but my brain works very video game-ish, right? I can really flip fast up and down and see the signals, and it's not as big a challenge to me as it is to other people. So I just asked, so all of this is being driven from what can I drive this down to make simple decisions, right? So that's where that came from, and you can see that idea worked if we go back a little bit in time to before we were insane, right? So if we were over here where we still had wide ranges and we put the same principles to work, right? So as we're going up, right? So I go, oh, I want to be short in this rip up. So the first thing I do is I'm going to look at the star and go, well, I need to close back into that star with a point of control. So that happened right there. Did that produce a nice rip? Indeed it did, right? So if you look at this, so now you got to ask yourself, do I want to be long or short? Here's where the challenges come in. See this star that set up a long setup right there? Backside tested, produced the algo. It's a 1-bar stop. You're just stopped, right? And what you're going to see here is in the process of producing this bar, it backside tested this bar. So sometimes that's going to happen. That's just trading, right? But you can see it backside tested that star. So you got to ask yourself, do you want to be short here or do you want to be long? Right? You're still asking that same question as we're moving along. Obviously the short worked out very nicely. I can see how people could get frozen on that setup, right? So both setups worked, right? The trap back in, the backside test of the star produced an algo, and again, the backside test of that bar, when it produces an algo, if I had to choose a trade I was going to take, that'd be a trade I take because it keeps producing these monster rolls like this, right? So yeah, I want that, right? So you'll even see here, star, closes underneath, backside test, and produces another algo. Again, monster rip. You're looking for the long, right, into the hole. I have two ways, so we'll go to this 835, even though I know it's difficult to short, because I already see the pattern played out, right? Actually, it didn't play out. Bar with the star, right? Doesn't get stopped out, nor does it get backside tested, right? So no trade there. But often, and if I was over here, right? So where would this be frustrating? Let's see this whole rip back to the downside, right? See how, in order to get long, I now need to clear this bar. Now, does it work? Yeah, but think about it psychologically. So it's a one bar stop, right? Hmm. Hold on a second. Hold on a second here. I can fix this. I'll give him a second to see if we can get in the meeting. Anyone else have problems this morning? By the way, I expect it to be very, very volatile this morning. You know, the whole Biden thing looks like it's dead in the water. The whole stimulus deal, people are concerned about all kinds of stuff. So, okay, I'll wait. Once Randy gives me feedback, I'll look. So, when you're looking here, right, I wanted this to touch. So even if this had touched, I wanted to produce a what is it? Okay, so when you're over here, see how it closes in and then it launches. So I want to show you something. If I add back up, so see how I've clarified this, right? If I put back in the algos, okay, so I'm going to just add back in the triangles, okay? You see, once you get past that, the first triangle up launches, right? So you'll see that, but see how much more noise there is to clarify all of a sudden? So that's why I stripped it down the first time, but you'll almost always get a triangle associated with the backside test of that star. So let's say hypothetically this touched, and then you get the triangle up, right? That's the launch bar, and that one you can use a 1 bar stop on. So I'll give you another example of that. Here's the downside star right here, right? So I'm looking for the bar that gets backside tested with the algo. That's this one right here, and that had the triangle on it. And it launches it to the downside, and it's a 1 bar stop. Does that make sense to everybody? I know I paused there for a second. Does that make sense? Am I being clear on that? Mic check. Joyce, can you hear me? Okay. So same over here, right? This is my trigger. See how this guy gets stopped out over here? Both these guys. All right. So sometimes there's a triangle up, sometimes there isn't, right? And then I want him to come back over and I want him to backside test this guy. Let's see over here how they backside test. And on the algo, triangle up. The stop can go on the triangle, I guess is going to be the rule for the lift to the upside. Does that make sense? Whichever bar has the triangle on it when it prints, that's the bar that's going to be the stop. So in this case, it would be this bar right here, right? Now, I'm going to explain the more complex way to do it. Does anyone want to know what the more complex way to do it is? Going once, going twice. Okay, then we'll leave it on the uncomplex way. Nobody wants to know the more complex way, which I'm fine with. That is it then. Those are the two best ways to use those stars. And if you'll strip it down to focusing on those stars, your life will be happier. Your P&L will go up. Let's get to work. Let's see what we're doing this morning. So see how it's producing all those stars right there? First thing you want to do, obviously, is go higher in time frame. So coming on a 6 tick, let's change it to an 8 tick. See in between. It's not very fast. Okay, so just looking at this chart, 8:30 in the morning. So first of all, if I go look at my ES 15-minute chart, let me stop that recording and I'll post it as soon as it's available.